Hi everyone, and welcome to your geography lesson today. Okay, before we begin, I've got us to have a little think about what we did in our last lesson because it was a whole week ago. Okay, now do you know or can you remember some differences in the daily weather in coastal areas and inland areas? And can you remember what coastal and inland were? Okay, so what was the difference with some weathers in the coastal areas to the inland areas? I want you to pause the video here and have a little think and a chat with the person in the room. Okay, welcome back now. Should we have a little look at comparing and see if you got the same answers? All right then. So here we go. So coastal areas have more sunshine and strong winds, and they are often a little bit warmer than the inland areas in winter. The inland areas have less wind and sunshine, but they have more rain, and they're often cooler than coastal areas in the winter. Did you get that right? Fantastic if you did. Well done. If you didn't, don't worry. Just keep on watching these videos and they'll soon sink in. All right. So today we're going to be having a look at weather patterns. We're going to understand why weather forecasts are really helpful, and then we're going to make some helpful forecasts of our own. And this is going to link into our English next week. It's very exciting. Okay, let me move the picture down here. So some questions here. So depending on what the weather is like, we might need to dress differently or do things differently on that day. So for example, if you've got a picnic planned and you were already in your summer dress with your picnic planned and you hadn't checked the weather forecast and it was going to rain, it could end up in a disaster, couldn't it? You'd get soggy, wet sandwiches, which would not be nice. And also, if you hadn't checked the weather forecast and you went out in your big snuggly jumper and your big thick coat and it was really bright, hot sunshine, you'd get very hot and sweaty, wouldn't you? It's really important to check the weather forecast to see what's going to be happening throughout the week. Just like at the moment, I keep checking to see if there's any snow coming. Do you keep checking that too? It's exciting. And I like to check my weather on my phone, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, how do we know what to wear or what sort of jobs and activities we can do each day? If we don't check the weather, we won't know what a good thing is to wear and what to plan. So, if we wanted to go for our walk, for example, but it was pouring down with rain or it was due to rain, if we knew it was due to rain, then we'd take some coats and umbrellas with us to be prepared. But if we didn't know whether it was due to rain or not, we wouldn't know what to expect. So it's really important to know in advance what the weather is going to be like. And by finding that out is by accessing different ways of getting the weather report. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so weather forecasts. Oh, I'm going to move my picture just there. So weather forecasts can be on the television or online. Have you ever seen a weather forecast on the television? Often they come just after the news. So they have the news and they read the news, then they do the sport, and then they have the weather. But also newspapers and websites can offer written weather forecasts too. And you can listen to the weather forecast on the radio as well. But also, like I said, I like to use my phone to get my weather forecast. So I'm going to show you in a minute some of the apps that you can use too. And I bet your parents might have that on their phone too. All right then. So we're going to watch now, and I'm going to put myself back into this corner, a weather forecast, okay, that's on the BBC. Now, you might recognise this country here. That's right, it's the United Kingdom. It's the UK, isn't it? And we're going to have a little look at all the different things that she talks about. So I want you to really listen to what she says and look as well at the different symbols that come up on this weather map. All right, so are you ready? Let's go.
Hello there. If you're planning to get out for some much needed exercise today, you're going to have to brace yourself for some cloud, some wind and some rain around. The weekend stays pretty unsettled. Low pressure is going to dominate the story. It's going to anchor itself to the northwest of the UK, and it's allowing these weather fronts to circulate into the south of the low and bring some rain at times. Plenty of isobars on the charts as well. It's going to be widespread.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Windy. That said, perhaps the Northern Isles, along with the northeast of Scotland, staying largely dry and bright. We pulses of wetter weather, particularly in the southeast, and then another pulse moving through the latter stages of the afternoon. So bands of showery rain. The winds a feature. Widespread gusts 40-45 miles an hour, maybe in excess of 50 to 55 miles an hour across the southwest and through the Irish Sea. It will be mild with it because the wind direction is coming from a southwesterly. Not that you'll notice it, with these showers or longer spells of rain at times. Now, through the evening and overnight, we will see most of the showery rain dying back to the west and south coast. A lot of cloud around. It stays quite blustery as well, and it's going to continue to feel quite mild, 9 to 13 degrees first thing on Sunday morning. Now, down to the southeast on Sunday, we could see this weather front just enhancing some wetter weather for a time. The low not moving very far at all, and the winds will start to drive in plenty of showers from the west. So a wet start in the southeast, but then Sunday should be a case of sunny spells and scattered showers. The strongest of the winds on Sunday are going to be through the channel through the middle of the afternoon. We could see gusts of winds 50 to 60 mile an hour plus on exposed coast, and that'll drive in plenty of sharper showers here. So sunshine and showers for Sunday afternoon. Top temperatures though still mid-teens, 14-15 degrees, perhaps highest values. But things are going to start to change as we move into the week ahead. We start to move away from that southwesterly flow and drag in a northerly wind direction. The blue tones start to arrive across the country. That means as we go through the week, there's the potential for some rain around on Monday, showers through the middle part of the week, but it gets noticeably cooler from Friday into next weekend. Take care.
What did you think about that? It was very good, wasn't it? So, she talked a lot there about north and southwesterly and southeast, and we're going to have a little talk about that in a minute. But just before we do, I wanted to show you these. So, this was a screenshot from my phone from the weather that's going to be happening tomorrow and for the rest of the week. And do you remember the symbols that we were having a look at last week in our lesson? We've got the symbols here, and this represents what weather is going to be happening today and what weather is happening tomorrow. Then these are little apps that you can find on your phone. And the Met Office is also another place where you can find lots of information all about weather. So if you want to, you can have a go at copying this website and have a look at the Met Office, and it will give you loads of information about weather, written weather reports. You'll be able to see weather reports. You'll be able to have a look at the weather reports like this. Great source of information. So let's get back to the next part where we're talking about north and south and east and west. Now, this is called a compass, and it's really important that we start to know and be aware of what a compass is, and know and be aware of the different compass points. So as you can see, I've labelled my compass. At the top here, we've got north, that means up, and we've got south, which is down. We've got east, and we've got west over here. And then we've got points that come in between. So in between north and east, we've got northeast. And in between east and south, we've got southeast. Same here as well. In between west and south, we've got southwest. And in between west and north, we've got northwest. Now, we use compass points, children, when we're looking at maps. Really important to show which way we need to go. They help us with direction. And when you're a weather reporter, you need to know what direction the weather is coming in and out of the country. So you will hear the weather reporters talking about these compass points because they'll be showing it on their map which way the weather bands are moving. And that's something that we're going to be talking about a little bit more next week as well. But I just thought I would show you that so you were aware of what a compass is and you're aware of these words. So let's move on. So did you know that we can also forecast the weather? And we could predict what the weather could be tomorrow or next week. So if we think about seasons that we're in now, and do you remember last week we talked about what weather was normal or often happens in this season and what weather doesn't often happen. So if we think, what season were we in? We're in winter. So could we predict what weather might be happening next week? What do you think? Pause the video here, have a chat with the person in the room and talk about what weather you think might be happening next week. What did you decide? Do you know what I thought? It's definitely going to be cold and I think cloudy with rain. What were your thoughts? Did you think the same? Oh, you thought something different. Okay. So, forecasters, that's people who look at the weather and they make a prediction about what is going to happen in the future with the weather. So, forecasters keep records of the weather from the past. So they can see what the weather was like at the same time of the years previous. Okay, so the weather records go back for lots and lots and lots of years. And what they do is they take all that information and it helps them to make a prediction. They look at the information they've got and they think, it's rained this many times in November over all of these years. I predict it might rain again in November. They also look at photographs and other information from weather satellites. And weather satellites are high up in the sky. We can't see them because they're actually in space. And what they do is they orbit the Earth. That means they go round the Earth. And they are taking pictures of the Earth all the time. They're taking pictures of the atmosphere. So they can see where the clouds are. They can see if there are storm clouds coming. They can also see where there are rain clouds coming in. And all that information that's taken from the satellites that are up there in space, it's sending the information back down to the weather stations. And the weather stations then look at the data and then they start to predict what they think is going to happen. So here is our map of the UK. And can you remember our different countries that make up the UK? We've got Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Now, can you see what's there? It's a compass, that's right. Now, on this compass, it's just got the initial letters, north, east, south, and west. So let's have a look at this map here. What does this weather forecast show? So I can see lots of different symbols there, and I'm going to use my key here to help me. So in my key, I have got a cloud with a little bit of sun, and that is cloudy. Is there any points where it's cloudy? Oh, yes, on the east of England. Because if I use my compass points here, I know that east is on this side. So if I bring that, if I bring that down, I know that this is the east of England. So in the east of England, it's going to be cloudy. What about the west of England on this side? Oh dear. Looks like thunderstorms to me. Oh no. What about in the north of Scotland? Right at the top, the north of Scotland. Oh, it just looks a little bit cloudy, doesn't it? Oh, and cloudy with a little bit of sun. And then we've got lots of wind coming in from the south to, coming in from the east to Wales. Okay, it's hitting in the west side of Wales into there. We're going to be having a look now at some different weather forecasts, and you're going to be making a prediction about what's going to happen.